Corona. Inspired by my mother, my grandmother, and my trip to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the Blacksmith, in November of 2016 with my mother, where she bought a crown for her collection. And we also bought Michael Cunningham and Craig Marberry's book, Crowns, A Brief History of Church Hats. Corona. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. But if a man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. 1 Corinthians 15:16. Either way, it is your birthright, whether matrilocal or matrilineal, by gender, by God. Manifest Destiny claims your kingdom and acts like we are doing you a solid by calling you queen, by calling that crown, without understanding the rules of engagement. That Sundays aren't just the Lord's Day, it was a feather in the cap of the slave. The couple dollars you could squeeze out of being overworked and underpaid to bless yourself to something nice, to the only place you could afford to wear it. Sunday is also the pageant of Christ. 1, don't wear a hat wider than your shoulders. 2, don't wear a hat that is darker than your shoes. 3, if your hat has feathers, make sure they are never bent nor broken. 4, no sequins in the daytime. 5, no borrowing under absolutely any circumstances. If you give it, you give it. It's an heirloom. It's a gift. 6, you should never look lost in it. 7, hatitude. You have to have one in order to wear a hat well. 8, Easter hats should be white, cream, or pastel, even if it is still cold outside. 9, when they sacrifice your son, wear the biggest hat you can find to his funeral. Keep them in boxes too, a brand new one for every such occasion, Mother's Days and Resurrection Sundays included. Sadly and gladly, by the time you are a grandmother, you will have enough to go around. Remember, veils render them convertible, all-purpose, any occasion, just like Big Mama's little black dress. You recount the parable of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. I learned from watching you to interpret that as God never wanting me to set foot in the church without looking clean, a sign of prosperity. Because in the hood and the holla, God smiles upon our people in church hats and sneaker heads, but I refuse to call it a crown. Because you are not who you are simply because of who you married. Because man confers kings and queens, not God. God's in the business of putting wings on the backs of moms. I prefer to think of it as a halo. Because unlike a crown, it never comes off. Not even when you are at work bussing beer bottles on the night shift, because Monday through Saturday, you are a walking miracle. And on Sundays, you are a walking museum.